Hello, my name is Kevin Finn, and welcome to my presentation on responsibility accounting. Let's begin. Responsibility accounting is defined as a system that classifies data according to areas of responsibilities within a company, and it reports each area's activities by including the revenue, cost, and resources made available to that manager within that area or division or department. Responsibility accounting is made up of responsibility centers. What is a responsibility center? A responsibility center is a unit of the organization of which a manager has been put in charge of or has the responsibility of managing for an organization. These responsibility centers make up the integral part of what is responsibility accounting. Each responsibility center has controllable costs or controllable revenues. Reports are run generally by managers within each area or responsibility center that show the cost, revenue, and resources that manager in a particular area must control. A pro of responsibility accounting is that managers are only judged upon whatever responsibility center that they are placed over. So if they're placed over a cost center, they're only judged on costs. Or if they're over revenue, they're only judged on revenues. There are 5 types of responsibility centers that make up responsibility accounting. They're cost centers, discretionary cost centers, revenue centers, profit centers, and investment centers. The first is a cost center. Here, only controllable costs are listed. These are controllable costs that help make products and that are easily linked up to those products, such as you need this particular part to make this particular phone. Here, you can test those by analysis of variances. Some performance measures that you can do is you can take what your actual budget says and compare it with your flexible and master budget. At the surgical clinic in which I work, we take our master budget and compare it against our actual budget to see how we are making those targets versus actual costs in prior years or projected years forward. Next is the discretionary cost center. These are only the controllable costs. These are also not well-defined costs. These are your marketing costs, your HR people. The way that you hold these people accountable through performance measures is by giving them targeted base spending amounts or spending amounts, pre-approved budgeted spending amounts. Some examples of this at the surgical clinic are HR, accounting, legal, administration, discretionary costs. Next is the revenue center. The revenue center is where revenue is generated. You actually get to compare what you're actually bringing in against what you budgeted to make or bring in. At the surgical clinic, we generate revenue from a multitude of sources: surgical services, leasing offices, office-based business practices, clinic visits, all sorts of different revenue centers. Next is the profit center. Profit centers is where your operating income comes from or where you make your money. The surgical clinic has multiple profit centers. Some of mine, which I control as being the Director of Vascular Services, are the Vascular Procedure Center, Vein Center, CT centers, different profit centers. Next and lastly is the Investment Center. The Investment Center is where you get to be the brains of the operation. It's where you are able to reinvest money back into the company, and you want to look for your return on investment or your residual income. The surgical clinic has one investment center, and that's where the CEO and the board of physicians get together and decide what direction they'd like to take the company in. As you can see, this responsibility accounting structure and responsibility accounting as a whole forms nicely to an organizational structure. We all know what an organizational structure is, but I challenge you to think about where you are in your business and what type of responsibility center you coincide. Are you in a store, a profit center, or are you in HR where you're more of a discretionary cost center? I challenge you to find out. I think it's pretty interesting to know where you work. And lastly, and most importantly, before we finish, how do we hold people or managers responsible within each center? And that's through performance reporting. You only measure the manager's performance based on their particular area of expertise or area that they are assigned to. This concludes my presentation on responsibility accounting. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Thank you.